We're not taking it away from Fritz. Oh my gosh, that's it. Oh no. Oh no. Square right on the chin. Knocked it right down.
Throughout human history, we've been captivated by tales of the underdog. From ancient mythology to modern sports, there's something primal about watching a smaller, seemingly outmatched competitor face a towering opponent. But nowhere has this dynamic played out more viscerally than in the early days of mixed martial arts. Before weight classes, before unified rules, before the UFC became a household name, there was a wild era where size differences weren't just common. They were the main attraction. This is the story of the David versus Goliath matchups that captivated audiences and forever changed combat sports. November 12th, 1993. Denver, Colorado. The Ultimate Fighting Championship debuts as an 8-man tournament with a simple premise. Determine which martial art reigns supreme when styles collide with minimal rules. Among the competitors was an unassuming Brazilian in a white GI who would redefine what it meant to be a fighter.
Here it is. There's and he's on the ground. Now we're watching Royce take the mount position.
Royce Gracie, standing 6 feet 1 inch, but weighing just 175 pounds, didn't look like a fighter who could dominate, but he carried the legacy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a martial art refined by his family, specifically to allow smaller practitioners to defeat larger opponents through leverage and technique.
To be the guard position, Royce takes the mount. That's exactly where Royce wants to be.
In the tournament final, Gracie faced Gerard Gordeau, a 216-pound Dutch kickboxer with a fearsome reputation. What happened next would shock the martial arts world.
Exactly what I expected Royce going into the leg
drag. And that foot goes behind Gerard. He's trying to take him down, and
in just under 2 minutes, Royce Gracie forced Gordeau to submit with a rear naked choke. David had slain Goliath, and the template was set. Technique could overcome raw size and power.
It's over. That was just Royce is not letting him go. He wants to make sure the referee sees that this is over.
By 1996, the UFC had embraced the David versus Goliath narrative. On February 16th, they made it official with UFC 8, David versus Goliath, held in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, the first UFC event outside the continental United States. The event almost didn't happen. Local promoter Richie Miranda Cortese had to take government officials to federal court to prevent cancellation. This controversy only added to the mystique of what was already being billed as a night of extreme mismatches. The main event featured a UFC Super Fight Championship bout between reigning champion Ken Shamrock and the imposing Kimo Leopoldo. While not the most extreme size mismatch on the card, this fight represented the evolution of the sport. Skilled fighters who understood both striking and grappling.
Oh, a right hand by Shamrock right to the head.
Shamrock drops Kimo quickly.
Shamrock secured a knee bar submission in just over 4 minutes, proving that technical proficiency was becoming as important as physical attributes in this evolving sport. But the true embodiment of the David versus Goliath theme that night was the tournament itself. Don Fry, a former firefighter and collegiate wrestler standing 6 feet 1 inch and weighing 210 pounds, didn't look like an underdog, but in the wild west of no-weight class MMA, he would face significantly larger opponents. In the tournament final, Fry faced Gary Big Daddy Goodridge, a 6'3", 258-pound arm wrestling champion and kickboxer from Trinidad and Tobago. Goodridge had made a name for himself earlier that night with one of the most brutal knockouts in UFC history.
Fresh has fought less than a minute in the octagon tonight.
Quick right jabs.
There's a right hand by Fry.
If it stays up, I put my money on Fry.
Fry trying to trip Goodridge.
Oh, I wouldn't let Goodridge in there.
No, because with his strength, he's dangerous.
And a drop to the canvas by Goodridge. Missed with the big kick. Goodridge picks him up and drops him.
Watch for the choke here.
He's behind him. He's behind him.
And Fry rolls him. And another right hand by Fry, trying to get that explosive punching power out there.
There it is.
That's it, it's over. Donnie Fry wins it.
What followed was a display of heart and technique overcoming raw power. Fry weathered Goodridge's initial onslaught, then used his superior wrestling and cardio to wear down the bigger man. After just 2 minutes and 14 seconds, Goodridge tapped to strikes, and Fry was crowned tournament champion. As MMA expanded globally, the David vs. Goliath theme found its most extreme expression in Japan's Pride Fighting Championships. Japanese audiences had long embraced the spectacle of size mismatches through Purorizu, professional wrestling, and Pride delivered these matchups with theatrical flair.
And Nogueira shoots for the takedown! Oh! No! Come on, Bobby!
No fight better exemplified this than the 2002 clash between Pride heavyweight champion Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira and the monstrous Bob Sapp. Nogueira, a technical Brazilian jiu-jitsu master, weighed 230 pounds. Sapp, a former NFL player turned fighter, tipped the scales at a staggering 375 pounds of chiseled muscle. What followed was 10 minutes of the most dramatic David vs. Goliath battle in MMA history. Sapp repeatedly powerbombed Nogueira into the canvas, each slam drawing gasps from the 71,000 fans in attendance.
Yeah, I've seen Bob Sapp at about 450 pounds with abs, so that's a different person. Oh, look at this sledgehammer!
But Nogueira persevered. As Sapp tired in the second round, the Brazilian executed a perfect reversal, secured top position, and locked in an armbar submission. David had once again defeated Goliath, this time in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. That fight showed the world what heart means in this sport. Nogueira absorbed punishment that would have broken most fighters, but he never gave up. It's still one of the greatest comebacks in MMA history. 3 years later, another undersized heavyweight would create an iconic David versus Goliath moment. Fedor Emelianenko, the stoic Russian champion standing just 6 feet 0 inches and weighing 230 pounds, faced the enormous Brazilian Zulucinho, 6 feet 7 inches and over 360 pounds, at Pride Shockwave 2005. Unlike Nogueira's war of attrition, Fedor's battle lasted just 26 seconds. With his trademark expressionless demeanor, he walked forward, landed a perfect 1-2 combination, and sent the giant crashing to the canvas. After a brief flurry of ground strikes, it was over.
Oh my gosh, that's it. Oh no! Oh no! Square right on the chin, knocked it right down. That's it, that's it.
Emelianenko sends a very clear message.
As MMA evolved, some fighters made careers out of facing much larger opponents. None embraced this role more than Japan's Ikuhisa Minowa, better known as Minowama, standing just 5 feet 9 inches and weighing less than 200 pounds. Minowa regularly faced opponents who dwarfed him. His most extreme challenge came against Brazilian Giant Silva, former basketball player and professional wrestler, who stood a towering 72 inches and weighed 385 pounds. Silva's leg is literally the size of Minowa's entire body. This is insanity. But Minowa was undeterred. Using his superior agility and grappling skills, he took the giant down, moved to side control, and unleashed a barrage of knees to the head that forced a TKO stoppage in just 2.5 minutes. Even Royce Gracie, the original David of MMA, continued the tradition years later when he faced sumo wrestling champion Akebono in 2004. At 6 feet 8 inches and 484 pounds, Akebono outweighed Gracie by over 300 pounds. True to form, Gracie used the giant's weight against him, patiently working from his back to secure an omoplata shoulder lock for the submission victory. It was a perfect callback to the principles that had launched the UFC over a decade earlier.
あけぼのはまだですね、とにかくは決まらないと思ったんですけど、重くなったっていうわけなんですけど。足を使って左を打ちめている。あけぼのの腕が伸びた、腕が伸びた。あけぼの伸びた。さあ耐えるか。アームバーだ。腕が伸びている。アームバーだ。
These These early mismatches proved definitively that technique could overcome size advantages for ever-changing martial arts. They demonstrated that heart, skill, and strategy were as important as physical attributes, but the lessons they taught us about courage, technique, and the indomitable human spirit will endure as long as fighters step into the cage.